Good morning. It's a beautiful day today. Now, everyone has one of those uncles. You know the kind I'm talking about. That uncle who's always the life of the party, that funny guy, the storyteller. Mine's Uncle Charlie. Well, at first, the story he tells you is really funny or shocking or whatever. But after you've heard it at every family holiday for about 10 years, it kind of just gets stale, right? The story has become so boring, predictable, even annoying. And this happens over time, even to us here in the church. Because we've heard these stories over and over for 2,000 years. So they become kind of predictable or domesticated. Well, today is Pentecost. And all of our readings are about the Holy Spirit. In Acts, we hear about how the Spirit came down as a wind, and they had tongues as of fire, and everybody got really confused. Now, after hearing this story so many times, how do you picture this event happening? Like these icons and paintings that we have, a bunch of really calm guys standing there with little tiny red flames over their heads, right? Is the breeze a little light breeze that blows back their hair, maybe? But we've heard the story so many times that maybe we kind of lost the wonder of it. We hear that the Spirit comes upon them. And then in John, we hear that the Spirit was breathed into them. But what was that actually like for them? What does the Spirit look like to you when you imagine it? Some images we have are a dove coming down from the sky, a ghost, an angel maybe. Did anyone read that book, The Shack? Yeah, a thin Asian lady that hangs out in the periphery of your vision. That's one way to look at it. I'm not making that up. It's in the book. These are images of the Spirit, but they're pretty tame when the Spirit is actually anything but. Because in Acts we have the disciples having a meeting, just like we still like to do. And then there was a rush of violent wind. This is no little breeze. This is a wind, just like the winds that blow over the deep of creation in Genesis. The same wind that made the floods of Noah's time recede. This is the same wind that split the Red Sea for Moses so they could go through to freedom. This is a violent wind, as if the Spirit is saying, hey, you thought the resurrection was something. Watch what I'm going to do now. Then there's flames. Flames. Everyone starts speaking in tongues. It's confusion. The text says they were bewildered, astonished, and amazed. The Spirit does all this. It's not a tame, cute little dove. The Spirit is fire. It's wind. It's confusion. Pentecost is all about what is next for the people who no longer have Jesus physically with them. This story carries us into a life with the Spirit and shows us how the Spirit should affect us. Now, in the story from John, Jesus says, the Father will send another advocate to testify on his behalf. The first one was Jesus, of course. Now, in the Greek text, the word advocate is parakletos, paraclete, not parakeet, like my spell checker likes to say. It's paraclete. Sometimes this is translated as advocate. Sometimes it's translated as comforter. But after hearing what the Spirit does in Acts, I think that's pretty far from comfort as we can get. The basic meaning of the word is actually to come alongside another. To come alongside another. So, paraclete is actually a very beautiful and expressive word with a lot more meaning than just advocate. In the incarnation, Jesus came alongside us so that we could know God. And then he is gone. So now the Holy Spirit is here to come alongside us to give us the Spirit of all truth, to give us the strength that we need to live a Christ-like life. The Paraclete comes to testify, but also to prompt our testimony, to make us speak out and call into question all the corruption and oppression that we see in the world. The Holy Spirit comes to make prophets of the disciples and of everybody. The Spirit came upon all people. The Spirit of Pentecost is an agitator as well as an advocate. It isn't here to make us feel better or to become complacent, to become comfortable. It's here to push us, to give us a kick in the pants if we need it, to stir us up, to change the world. The Paraclete, Holy Spirit, comes alongside us to encourage and to help and to strengthen us so that we can do the ministry that Jesus gave us to do. When we get too comfortable, we become complacent or lazy. We accept things that we shouldn't. Like when you hear the same story over and over, you become desensitized to it. And we've done this to the Spirit. We've kind of domesticated it. It's supposed to be amazing and scary and inspiring. In ministry, cannot become complacent. One of my favorite theologians, David Lowes, writes that Jesus never preached at us to build churches, take care of old buildings, and devote yourselves to crumbling institutions. Now, don't get me wrong, churches are very beautiful, and we should care for our buildings, of course. But if the only thing you ever do is fix buildings and hold on to old ideas, something is wrong. Jesus preached to us to go and make disciples, not sit and wait for them to come in. And he said, when you care for the least of these, you are caring for me. And he also said, love one another as I have loved you. These are the things Jesus wants us to do. And he sent the Spirit to help us, to guide us, be by our sides. So what we need to try to do this season, well, it should be all the time, but particularly this season, to rediscover the awe and wonder that the disciples had on Pentecost. Find that violent wind, the fire, and apply it to our ministries. Every single Christian has a mission, not just the leaders or the priests. Christianity is a communal religion. Everybody works together. We are all the disciples, and we are all prophets now. We all need to work with the Spirit and spread the love of Christ in the world. We can do it. We can break out of our domesticated Holy Spirit ideas because, as we learned today, we are never alone. We have our Paraclete, our advocate, our comforter, our strength. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.